So do you actually need bylaws as a PTO? Does it even matter? Like, who do you answer to? Who's going to tell you, like, is there PTO police to come and track you down? Well, no, there actually is no PTO police that is going to come and arrest anybody, or you won't get fined. Nothing like that. But that is not really the reason that you want to be having bylaws for your PTO in the first place. You absolutely need bylaws. Like, they're really not optional, and anybody that tells you they are doesn't know what the heck they're doing. So like, they just don't understand how PTOs work. They don't understand the pitfalls of not having bylaws. And so if you don't have bylaws, woman, get your bylaws together. The reason that you want bylaws is that they actually get everybody literally on the same page, that you have an understanding about how your PTO operates, what's allowed, what isn't allowed. And it's not just like legally as in like the state or the city or whatever, but so much stinking time can be lost to kind of just refiguring things out every year if you don't have bylaws. And that there are so many, things go off the rails when you don't have a set of rules that everyone is playing by. And so like, I would not personally be in an organization that does not have bylaws, because that tells me they do not have their crap together, and that there's going to be trauma, and that it's no good. It's no good, because the truth of the matter is that the PTO is only as good as the bylaws. So if the bylaws are up to date and they're followed and they address the major issues, then that's great. That is probably a well-run PTO. But if you have a group that can't find the bylaws or resist creating bylaws because they don't want to have rules, like, I just don't get that. Because if you have, like, not having bylaws works if everybody understands what they need to be doing and everybody understands how to do it and they follow through. Problems happen when you have leaders that aren't trained, who don't know what the heck they're supposed to be doing, who are not following through. I mean, part of the things that should be addressed in your bylaws are what the officers are supposed to do. How do people know job duties? Otherwise, if you're relying on one officer, like if you're relying on the outgoing officer to communicate the exact duties to the incoming officer, I bet a lot is going to get lost. We cannot transmit all of that information, nor is the incoming officer probably going to be able to absorb all that information. So it's really nice to refer back to documentation. So I know you're probably thinking, but Christina, like, bylaws are so limiting because you put it down there and you can't change it. That's not true. You totally can change it. So really, you need to be having bylaws and standing rules. I've talked about this a bunch before, but I'll go ahead and tell you once again why it's so important, just because it is this like totally critical, crucial, can't stress it enough, got to have these things. The bylaws kind of set the big picture idea, how many officers you'll have, what those officers' job duties entail. The standing rules get into the nitty gritty, as in the fiscal year starts July 1st, ends June 30th. We have to have an annual audit, all that kind of stuff. The bylaws are like I said, the big picture things, and they're supposed to be things that they address topics that aren't going to change very often. For example, the name of your group, the mission of your group, kind of just big picture things like that. The standing rules talk about how you're going to do everything. So how often you're going to meet. Are you going to meet monthly? Where are you going to meet? What time are you going to meet? Who gets invited? Who has a vote? Do you have to pay dues? Do you not have to pay dues? So you can really set things up however you like, but it's really best to organize things in a way that anybody can understand, like no matter their reading skill level. A lot of bylaws and standing rules I see are filled with legalese, legal mumbo jumbo that make them really hard to understand what they are saying. And so whenever I am tasked with updating bylaws and standing rules, I always put them into plain English, because they're not better if they're more difficult to understand. They're worse. They're not more legally effective with the big words. Like, totally not. It's all the same thing. You don't have to say shall. You don't have to say, I don't even know what other words that like shall. I'd have to have a crappy crappy set of bylaws in front of me to be able to tell you what's wrong with them. But because I know this is such a huge issue, and because I know people dread having to go through the whole process of creating bylaws and standing rules, or even updating and revising them, because there is a definite process that you have to follow in order for them to be considered properly amended or properly updated, because you have to provide the right notice and information. I've put all of that together into bylaws and standing rules made simple, because we want this to be easy. I want you to be able to handle this in just like a couple weeks. It takes less time to revise them. It takes more time to vote on them and all of that jazz. That's all explained in this kit. So it comes with the whole process to follow and a template that you can basically just pick and choose what sections work for your group and what you'd like to leave out, and kind of get you thinking about what your group might need, because no PTO or PTA's bylaws and standing rules are going to look the same as any other group, because the needs of your school are different, the setup of your school is different, and so those documents should be customized to your groups. So do not just take a boilerplate set and think it's going to be good enough. It's not. It's really not. So I hope this kind of helps you to understand why bylaws and standing rules are crucial for every PTO. Really, all groups should have them, because it just takes, I don't have time for baloney. I don't have time for trauma and people getting all upset. Whatever. If you have it written down, there's really nothing to get upset about, because it's all right there in black and white. Save yourself some time and headache and hassle, and get your bylaws and standing rules together. Your group will be stronger and better for it. Okay, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Want even more guidance on how to be a stronger leader so you can run a better PTO or PTA? All these resources and more are waiting for you at ptoanswers.com.